Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother in Al Islam and your brother in humanity, Brother Charles Shabazz of Shabazz Islamic Ministries. Tonight, what I like to do is I would like to go further into relations with the Israel-Palestinian conflict. But specifically, I want to go into how Black America should respond to this crisis. Whose side should Black America choose? This is what I want to go into tonight. And the reason being is because I know for a long time our community, the African American community, we've been pretty much divided, right? And most of it is really on religious lines. For example, like African Americans, being the fact that they're predominantly Christian, we're a predominantly Christian community, right? A lot of times they either care less of what goes on, or if they do choose a side, they go with Israel. And the reason being is because, there's this teaching in the Bible that, the land of Israel was promised to the Israelites, right? Something to that extent. So, and the Christian belief still looks at Jewish people as God's chosen people, right? And that's a whole different story altogether. And Jewish people today, they still waiting on the Messiah to come. And the thing about that, however, is they do not believe that Messiah is Isa alayhi salam, which is what both we as Muslims along with Christians believe. And so here's the thing about that. Now, we also know the two leaders that Black America has looked up to, even though they're no longer with us. And I'm talking about El Haji Malik El Shabazz and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Of course, El Haji Malik El Shabazz is another name for Malcolm X. And of course, these two men were of both different faiths, as we know. Of course, Malcolm X was a Muslim. Initially, he spent 12 years with the Nation of Islam, and then he understood that the nation was not the correct Islam. The Aqidah, the basic fundamentals of Islam, is not practiced in the nation of Islam. So he went over and practiced the Quran and Sunnah and died in the state of being part of the Sunnah community, right? Dr. King was a Baptist minister, right? And as far as the point of view of these two men in regards to this conflict, because this conflict, remember, this conflict started in 1948 and shortly prior to that, like I mentioned on the previous videos. So this conflict, the oppression of the Palestinian people by Israel, this was going on during their time. And so these two men, they actually made reference to it. Let me share with you what Dr. Martin Luther King said regarding this conflict. I want you to hear it.
The whole world must see that Israel must exist and has the right to exist and is one of the great outposts of democracy in the world.
My Jewish brothers and sisters said to me amid anti-Semitism anywhere, we don't need your support. We have enough Jewish with this problem ourselves. I would still take a stand against anti-Semitism because it's wrong, it's unjust, and it's
I don't know
evil.
if you
If my
guys are
Catholic
hearing
brothers and
it,
sisters said to me,
but
amid bigotry toward Catholics, we don't need your support in this because we have enough Catholic power to deal with it. I would still take a stand against bigotry toward Catholics because it is wrong, it is evil, and it is unjust.
let me let's see. Let me go in. Let's do another one. I don't know if any you guys heard what Dr. King was saying, but
The whole world must see that Israel must exist and has a right to exist and is one of the great outposts of democracy in the world.
My Jewish brothers and sisters said to me amid anti-Semitism anywhere, we don't need your support. I would still take a stand against anti-Semitism because it's wrong, it's unjust, and it's evil.
okay. So I don't know if you heard, but basically what Dr. Martin Luther King said was that he said that Israel had a right to exist, and that he also stated that he would take a stand against anti-Semitism, any form of bigotry against Jewish people and against Catholics. Now, here's my take as far as anti-Semitism in general is concerned. First of all, I'm not knocking them at all for going against anti-Semitism, right? First of all, Islam is against any kind of bigotry against people because of their faith or because of how they look, right? First of all, Islam makes sure that people have the right to worship, especially those among the Ahl Kitab, talking about the Yehudi or the Jewish people and the Nasara or the Christians, right? So, also we believe in all the messengers and prophets from Adam all the way to Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which includes all the messengers and prophets that were sent to the Bani Israel. Yes. So there's definitely no anti-Semitism in Islam. And as I mentioned to you, Hebrews are not the only Semites. You also have Arabs. Arabs are considered Semite people too. People in that region, in that area, a lot of them are considered Semites. And the way the media wants you to believe is that the only people who are Semites or Semitic are Jewish people, and that's wrong. In fact, like I was sharing with you, and also what I shared on Brother Ibrahim Tanner's channel, because I was on the show on his channel, I believe it was Thursday night. That was after I came from the Palestinian rally. I shared how actually Israel is the real anti-Semitic state for its oppression of the Palestinians, the Arabs, and also its discrimination towards the Mizrahi Jews and also to the Ethiopian Jews. These are true Semitic people, right? And Israel's discriminating them. So I'm not knocking anybody against anti-Semitism. And if being anti-Semitic is being against Jews or Judaism because that religion is supposed to be based in that part of the world, then you have to include Islamophobia in that as well. Islamophobia is also anti-Semitism. Anytime you offend the faith which the revelation took place in a Semitic area, a Semitic land, the revelation of the Quran, which is the Arabic, is a Semitic language. And so therefore, anybody who takes offense against Islam, against the Quran, that's also anti-Semitism. So you can include Islamophobia in being anti-Semitic. All right. Now, let's go to Dr. King and his belief that Israel has a right to exist. Again, like I said, this is influenced by his Christian upbringing, his Christian teaching. And this is what I personally believe about King. And this is my opinion. If King had truly investigated and looked at what was going on to the Palestinian people, what Israel was doing to them, I personally believe Dr. King would have started to take a stand against Israel and would have started taking a stand on behalf of the Palestinians. That's what I believe. And I do not believe that King had really looked or investigated thoroughly enough to really understand the truth of how Israel started. Not Israel in terms of the Bible, but the state of Israel. This is what people need to understand too. That this Israel that we're seeing, this is an artificial state of Israel. Okay? This was a state formed by people who were not really practicing Jewish people. These were not religious people. A lot of them were secular in their mindset, if not atheist. Study Theodore Herzl and all those people. These people weren't like devout rabbis and all that. That's what you guys have to understand. Okay? And also Israel in the Bible is talking about actual biological people who were actually biologically from that tribe. Let's get that straight. The 12 tribes of Israel and so forth. The Falashas, the Ethiopian Jews I was telling you about, they're one of the 12 tribes. And guess what? Israel's discriminating them. They're discriminating the real Jews. And also the Mizrahi Jews. They're discriminating them. So these true Jews that you read about in the Bible, they're being oppressed too and being discriminated by Ashkenazis, which is a group of Jewish people from Europe. So, the real Israelites, they're the ones being oppressed, not by the Palestinians, but by Israel. And they're being discriminated and oppressed along with the Palestinians. Let's get that straight, okay? And I don't think, like I said, King did not really investigate this enough. Again, he was just going by his biblical narrative. And please check out my previous video. I shared a video on the hypocrisy of Christian Zionism. Because you have a significant number of Palestinians who are Christian. And as I said, the majority of the Christians there are Palestinian and they're being oppressed. So it's not just the Muslims. The Christians are involved in this too. Right? So, and I showed how hypocritically the Christians turn their back on their Christian brothers and sisters in Palestine and would side with the enemy. Check out part 2.